I'm talking about the Deeper Life Bible Church. I know I've shared my story on this page before about my marital journey with the Deeper Life Bible Church. And recently, Baba had been talking about marriage committee, courtship, and all that. And I said, wow, let me also chip in and say one or two things because I grew up in the church. I started going to Deeper Life Bible Church when I was still a kid, and I was in the church until I was 40. That was when it dawned on me that no. This place that you are in, if you don't leave, that is how you are going to stay there and grow old without ever getting married. So I left, and it was after I left that the person I was supposed to marry then came back. And we came back together again, and then eventually we got married. So Deeper Life Bible Church, I know it like the palm of my hand because I grew up in the church. I was a worker. Initially, I was leading the adult session, women. I was quite young then, leading older women. Then later, I was drafted to be leading the youth sisters. You see how the church will use you without being paid. You don't even have time for yourself. Every day of the week, you are in church. And to you, you feel that you are working for God. But it is not God to me that you are working for. It is the church that you are working for. The church that you are trying to expand. Because everything you do is towards the expansion of the church. Even when you go out for evangelism to preach about Christ, the ultimate goal is still to bring the people to the church. You keep expanding the church. You hardly have time for yourself. You hardly have time for your children. You hardly have time for your family. Oftentimes, you see husband and wife in the church. Both of them are workers and they have to be in church every day of the week. They hardly have time for the kids. And at the end of the day, you see some of these kids misbehaving because their parents are never there to teach them, to guide them. No sex education, no TV at home, no recreational activities. Parents hardly have time to take their children out for any outing whatsoever. We are stuck in the church all day long. No birthday celebration for these kids. They miss out on important moments of their lives. No Christmas celebration, no Easter celebration. During these celebrations, the church is always organizing one retreat or the other, whereby the church members have to go to camp, whereby they will spend like 3-4 days before coming back home. By the time you get back home, the festive period is over and then the circle begins all over again. And so Pastor Kumuyi has been saying a whole lot in recent times. Stylishly, he is beginning to change some of the church practices. Instead of him to come out and apologize to his church members and to his former church members or some of these church practices that he introduced into the church, Baba is stylishly and cunningly trying to change them. Take for example, that of watching the TV. In those days, no Deeper Life member, real Deeper Life member, would have a TV in their house. But now, what happens? Baba has changed it. The members can now have TVs in their houses. And when they are introducing these doctrines, they will make you believe that it is God that is speaking to them directly. Like the TV then, it was called the devil's box. In Yoruba, Àpótí Èṣù. I wonder where that is in the Bible, that you shouldn't watch the TV. So does it mean that God has changed? Also, in the area of marriage, Baba is also trying to amend some things. Now he is saying that intending couples can visit each other at home, but an elder must be there to supervise and to watch them. As if they are kids. So it means that if they are left alone, they won't comport themselves. An elder must be there before adults can behave themselves. These are not kids. Why are you policing them? These are adults, for goodness sakes, so that they will not do the unthinkable. In those days, intending couples, they don't visit each other. In fact, you won't even visit each other until both of you are legally married in the church. What happens is that during courtship, both of you always meet at an elder's house. And when you are meeting, to always be in the living room where all eyes will always see you. Now imagine intending couples planning to get married, both of you don't have any moment of privacy to yourselves. Imagine both of you seated in somebody else's house, knowing fully well that you are being monitored, you are being watched. How are you going to freely talk to your partner? A lot of these practices, they are not biblical, but we do it anyways because one man says so. In this jet age, in this era, the pastor is still saying that when you visit your partner, that is intending couples, when you visit one another, an elder must be there to watch over you as if you are kids. That is why you have so many matured women in Deeper Life Bible Church, women in their 40s, in their 50s, not yet married. They don't have anywhere else to go. They have been in the church for so long. They have given their time, their all in all to the church. And at the end of the day, some of these men in the church will still leave them and go outside of the church and get married. The church will allow them, but for the women, when you decide to go outside to go get a husband, the marriage committee will frustrate you. It happened to me because my husband was not from Deeper Life Bible Church. They frustrated us. They were asking me questions about dreams and visions. Did I see my husband in a dream? Did God reveal to me about him? I said no. I told them I love him and I wish to marry him, and they said love is not enough for you to get married to a man. And they said if I go ahead and get married to him, the church will not support me, and I was confused. This is the church I have known all my life. I started going to Deeper Life Bible Church when I was a kid. Only for them to say that they will not support me if I go ahead and marry him, that it is not the will of God for me. Since God didn't reveal him to me, then it means that he is not my husband. And I was dragging my leg. My husband then said, come out of this church. Let us go outside of the church and get married. And I was telling him, hold on, wait, let us hear from the church. Let the church approve of our union. And then he said I wasn't serious, and then he broke up the relationship. And for many years I was still in the church, still serving as a worker. Not until I left did we reconnect back again, and eventually we got married. This time around, not in the church. Outside of the church. In fact, nothing like church marriage again, because I was done with anything called church marriage. And now Pastor Kumuyi is still talking about policing intending couples during their courtship. You can imagine that. There was a time he said he was going to change some of these church practices. According to him, they were not from God. They were not biblical. These were church practices that he introduced to guide us in our Christian journey. But we discovered that some of these church practices affected so many of us in the church, especially in the area of marriage. We are taught to pray for God to reveal the will of God for you in the area of marriage, and sisters will be there in the church praying and praying. No man is coming forth. And then when somebody else from outside wants to come and marry them, some of these women will not want to go ahead and marry these men from outside of the church, because the church is always preaching that you have to marry from amongst the brethren. This means you have to marry from the church. It's easier for the men, but not for the women. The other day, Pastor Kumuyi was talking about how he got married to his second wife. Remember that his first wife died a long time ago, and when the first wife died, it wasn't even up to a year. Pastor Kumuyi has already gotten married to another wife. If it were to be a church member, I'm sure they will hinder that person from getting married so quickly. But the pastor got married to his second wife as soon as his first wife passed. And his preaching center don't give up. It's never too late. If Mommy Esther, that is his present wife, could get married at the age of 60-something years, because his present wife then was around 60-something years old, while Daddy Kumuyi was around 70-something years old. And then both of them eventually got married. And so he was saying that the patient is never too late. And people were clapping for him. Clapping for what? Clapping for a woman who got married at the age of 60-something years old. Not every woman will be that lucky. And I don't know why this woman never got married until eventually she got married to Daddy Kumuyi. I understand that she was amongst the first set of people that started the Deeper Life Bible Church alongside his late wife. But when it was time for him to get married, he got married to his late wife. For some reason, nobody knows why she did not get married, but at the end of the day, she eventually got married to Daddy Kumuyi. And so on that day, I don't know why people were clapping when he said that women are like flowers, and before you know it, menopause has set in. And if you don't get married at the time that you're supposed to get married, then childbearing becomes a problem. Some of these pastors will be quoting Sarah. How many women can be up to the age of Sarah and give birth? And so I feel that Pastor Kumuyi should just come and apologize to some of his members and ex-members that some of these doctrines have affected their lives. It affected me because I married late, and after marriage, my husband passed within a few years before we could even have children of our own. And so many others likewise. Meanwhile, their children don't even go through what we members go through. I remember when the first son got married, you need to have seen what the wife of the first son wore on the day of their marriage. No member of the church will ever try that. They set high standards for the church members. Meanwhile, they themselves, they do not abide by those standards. You see how the ladies in Deeper Life dress compared to their men. Women are always at the receiving end. The other day, Baba was angry because somebody asked a question about who was going to take over from Baba. And Baba was saying they are eager to see him go. Why are they eager to see him go? That he is still very strong. He's traveling all over the world. Baba is getting old. Whether he likes it or not, he's not going to live here forever. One day, he will be gone. The earlier he apologizes and put things right in the church, the better. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.